Up to 50% of women are on it at any given time, and a staggering 90% of teenagers do it regularly or have tried it before. That's right, I'm talking about diets. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry that claims to make you slimmer and healthier. But do miracle diets really exist? Could you be doing more harm than good? In this episode, we cover the good, the bad, and the crazy side of diet. You'll find out the top secrets the diet industry doesn't want you to know about and how to keep those inches off forever. Let's expose the ultimate diet guide. Obesity is one of the leading causes of deaths in the world today. Now, on a side note, 6 out of 10 people have been on a diet before, including myself. Coincidence? I don't think so. Now, with so many diets out there, how do you know which one is right for you? I mean, some are effective, some are completely worthless, and some can actually kill you. So the first thing we need to talk about is, what exactly is a diet? Well, simply put, a diet is the sum of food consumed by a person or a living thing. Or it can refer to a specific intake of nutrition for health and weight-related issues.
But why do people go on a diet? That's mainly for 2 reasons: to lose weight and to be healthier. But there are endless types of diets around, and you can always find a new thing in vogue.
Diet trends are becoming the norm around the world today. But as a food detective, I don't just eat my food, I reveal their hidden secrets, and rather, I reveal the ultimate diet guide. So first, let's start an investigation by going back to the Stone Ages.
And by the Stone Ages, I mean more specifically the Paleolithic era. The aptly named Paleo diet has become one of the trendiest diets in modern times. And the first rule about this diet: if a caveman didn't eat it, neither can you.
A paleo diet has got little or no processed foods, and most of all, that's based on what the hunter-gatherers of our ancestry ate.
So say goodbye to bread, sweets, crunchy cornflakes, and hello to meat, fish, seeds, and leafy greens. Sounds good, huh? But I wonder, what are the downsides to going caveman?
Firstly, you need to be careful that you don't lose out on some of the vitamins and minerals. And secondly, as you can imagine, if you want to be on a paleo diet, you've got to be super rich because you've got to be eating meat and meat products every single day, which is not cheap.
Okay, I'm definitely not breaking the bank for this diet. So let's move forward in time to something more recent.
This next trend is clinging on fast and furious. It's the gluten-free diet.
So why did some people stop eating gluten in the first place? That's because of a rare genetic disorder called celiac disease.
In a disease called celiac disease, the small intestines are affected by an autoimmune response. So there's damage to the intestines, and therefore people suffering from celiac disease have got a reaction to eating gluten.
Now, gluten is a protein found in grains such as wheat, barley, and rye. But you can also find gluten in most baked goods, as well as sauces made from wheat flour. The gluten-free diet is simply not eating anything with gluten in it. So, for some people, this means eliminating a huge chunk of your diet like bread, noodles, and pasta. Pretty tough stuff for some.
So how did this exclusive diet become a worldwide trend? Celebrity endorsements and magazine covers, of course. Thanks to those, even non-celiac people started to avoid gluten like the plague. So most people may be on a gluten-free diet, but do they actually know what gluten is? We hit the streets.
What is gluten? I'm actually not sure. Sugar-free diet, basically, right? Is it? Is that what you mean? I'm not too sure.
I can't define it exactly, but wheat-based? Protein?
I have no idea.
As it turns out, many people have no clue what gluten is. And gluten is one of those many diets clouded by misinformation. That's why we decided to round up a few common diet myths just for you.
Myth: gluten will make you fat.
Yeah, there are a lot of myths surrounding gluten. But gluten itself won't make you fat. Gluten is simply a protein that's found in a lot of carbohydrate-loaded foods like bread and pasta. So if you eat a lot of those and you work out less, that's when the fats start piling up. Crash dieting makes you lose weight quickly. Not very true. Not only do you lose fat, but you also lose lean muscle and tissue. Now, when you lose lean muscle, your body automatically lowers its metabolic rate, which means you actually burn fewer calories than you did at first. So the odds of you gaining the weight back and then some when you're done dieting are very high. Go! Liquid calories don't count in your diet. Yes, they do. A regular soft drink bottle like this can cost you about 240 calories, and we all know we can get carried away sipping at these things. So remember, drink wisely. And if you're really a wise dieter, what you'll need is pen and paper. We'll get 400 from that, and the yogurt, 200 calories. So, no doubt, counting calories is one of the more mainstream dieting strategies. I've done it before. But do we really know what a calorie is? Simply put, a calorie is a unit of energy. And we get units of energy from the nutrients in the food that we eat. So proteins, fats, carbs, that kind of thing. But is there only one type of calorie? In my investigations, I discovered two types of calories, full and empty. What exactly does that mean?
All foods that we consume contain calories, but in addition to calories, many foods contain nutrients such as vitamins and minerals.
So that's what we call a full calorie. But what about an empty calorie?
Examples of empty calories will be sodas and confections which have calories but no other nutrient like vitamins or minerals.
We now know what full and empty calories are, but it's still hard to visualize a single calorie. So we decided to work with a bigger number, say 200 calories. Want to know what that looks like? Welcome to my 200-calorie banquet. I've invited lots of people, but nobody's here yet. Never mind, I'll run you through the menu. This is a very famous burger, but if you want 200 calories, sorry, you can only have this much, a quarter of the burger. If you want a full meal, look at this plate, nice and balanced, veggies and chicken. If you like your sodas, have a look at this, 200 calories. Or you can have this much milk. If you like your vegetables, look at how much celery you can have. If you like cheese instead, you can only have this much. Fruits, have a look at this, 3 cut apples, 200 calories. If you like your peanut butter, which I do, a healthy dollop, that's all you're gonna get. And chocolate kisses, 8.5, also 200 calories. So what's the point? My point is, all of these different meals are 200 calories, but of course the nutritional value is very, very different. Food for thought. If you're on a diet, then your only concern is to get rid of those calories. But just how do you go about it?
There's lots of ways to burn off 200 calories apart from regular exercise, like hula hooping for 30 minutes. Suck at this. Or you could chew a piece of gum for 18 hours straight. I dare you. Try applying lip balm 1,500 times. And if that's not your thing, try singing your favorite beloved pop song instead 45 times. Take one. Shine bright like a diamond. Alternatively, you could brush your teeth 45 times in a row. That'll burn 200 calories. Well, you probably won't have any gums left after that, but, you know, minor detail. Or I could just watch 2.5 hours of The Food Detective. Say, that's me!
If you think those methods are crazy, you haven't seen anything yet. The Food Detectives crack open the top 10 craziest diets.
Just a word of caution, don't try any of this because it could cause some serious harm to your health. With that said, let's roll.
Cabbage soup diet. All you have to eat and drink is cabbage soup for a total of 7 days. The side effect of this diet is a sound effect. You will fart a lot. And on a heavier note, you can also die from malnutrition.
The Vision Diet. Basically, you just put on a blue pair of shades and everything edible around you looks disgusting because it's in the shade of blue. Ooh. Just kidding, this is absolutely ridiculous. First of all, you could always take off the sunglasses. And number 2, when you're hungry, it doesn't matter what color it is, you're gonna eat it. The Sleeping Beauty Diet. Now, logic has it that if you're sleeping, you can't eat. Well, yeah, but in order to sleep for days, you need to be heavily sedated, which means you need sleeping pills, and those things are so dangerous. Now, if you happen to wake up and you find Prince Charming there next to you, girl, that is a hallucination. It is one of the side effects, apart from impaired speech and mood swings. Plus, the biggest danger of all is that you could die from a drug overdose. The chewing diet. This is where you chew your food between 32 to 80 times, but there's only one rule. Don't swallow, spit it out. I've never been good with rules. Now, of course, there's some side effects. You can get jaw pain, hunger pains, you could faint from dizzy spells, or worse, maybe even death. But hey, that's gonna be a slow one because of malnutrition.
Coming up, more diets exposed. But do you really know what they can do to you? Today, it's all about exposing the ultimate dieting guide. So far, we checked out 2 of the trendiest diets around, the paleo and the gluten-free. We also busted a couple of diet fallacies.
Liquid calories don't count in your diet.
And speaking of calories,
More diet myths to munch on, and this next one is all about calories. Calorie-free soft drinks are better than the regular ones. Sounds good, right? But a word of caution, a lot of these diet sodas are still laden with artificial sweeteners and extras, because of course they don't want to lose the flavor, but a lot of what's in there is pretty bad for your health. Negative calories. Is there such a thing? The answer is no. Eating and digesting a celery stalk, for instance, burns more calories than it provides you with. But that's about the same number of calories that your body would burn naturally anyways, just by hanging out and waiting. Eating right for your type, the blood type diet. Now, the theory behind this is that based on your blood type, you should be living one of 4 diet regimens. One is a low-carb, high-protein diet, low-fat, vegetarian, or an overall balanced diet. Yes, you might lose some weight because you are restricting your calorie food intake from various sources, but there's still no scientific evidence out there that links a specific blood type with a food diet plan.
dieting trends like the blood type diet come and go, and people are always willing to try a new trend with its own set of rules, like the raw food diet.
I'm with Dana Heather. She's a natural practitioner and a nutritionist here at Balanced Living and the Living Cafe. When new people come to you, they're interested in the raw food diet. Is it primarily because they want to lose weight?
Losing weight is a huge component. You know, we all have a little bit of vanity. So incorporating more living foods does a lot of things for the overall health.
The raw food diet consists of only eating uncooked, unprocessed, and mostly organic foods. This is due to the belief that the heat from cooking alters the nutrients in our food, making it more difficult for the body to process.
What are some of the benefits of going on the raw food diet?
I prefer to say the living food diet. And these living foods have actually a life force. So when we're eating foods that have not been cooked or heated over a certain temperature, and therefore it still has a living property to it. So those foods can rejuvenate health.
It is absolutely true that on a raw food diet, you will lose weight because there is no heat processing. You get almost all the nutrients intact. But you must not eat raw potato or raw lentils and legumes because they can be quite toxic. And of course, also remember that you should not attempt to eat raw meat because it may actually contain bacteria that could be harmful.
Another trend that shares some ground with the raw food diet is juicing.
Juicing is nothing but taking any fresh fruit and passing it through a blender where we collect the juice on one side and pulp on the other. The juice that you get here is almost devoid of any fiber or the pectin that is also very important for you. On a juice diet, of course you're going to lose weight because actually your calorie consumption will be extremely low. You will not be consuming some of the valuable other compounds like proteins and fats and carbohydrates that are equally important.
Looks like a juice a day doesn't really keep the doctor away. And speaking of juicing, it's time to blend up more insanity. We continue counting down our top 10 craziest diets.
The cotton ball diet. Now for this diet, teenagers actually take cotton balls, dip them in juice, swallow them, ingest them, thinking it's actually going to fill them up. But what actually happens instead is that you amass all of these cotton balls and it gets stuck in your guts. Now this could actually cost you your life. You can't digest that, nor can you pass that properly. So moral of the story is, do not stuff yourself with cotton balls unless you're a stuffed toy. The feeding tube diet. Now this one is pretty sick because it's actually used for people who can't eat due to illness. Now the idea is you have a tube, it's passed through your nose, it goes down into your stomach, it stays there 24/7 for 10 days whilst you're fed a high protein, low carb formula. Now don't say I didn't warn you, but your body will slowly shut down and you might even die. The tongue patch diet, or more accurately, a new torture device. This diet is where you stitch a small patch directly onto your tongue so that it's so painful you can't eat anything. Now, apart from not being able to eat, you probably can't speak. The side effects, possible starvation, the risk of infection, and maybe even death.
Still 3 more to go. Let's see how crazy they can get as we reach number 1.
Crazy diets aside, you'll be glad to know of a less extreme but very trendy one. The Atkins diet. Now, the Atkins diet, along with similar diets, takes on the low-carb, high-protein approach. So, in theory, by drastically reducing your body's carb intake, you're forcing your body to burn the fat in order to keep running. So, is the Atkins diet all it's cracked up to be, or are there some nasty side effects?
On an Atkins diet, you eat a very high protein diet, which are meats, fish, crustaceans, chicken and poultry, and of course, some additional amount of vegetables. You do lose weight dramatically, but you also become terribly constipated, and you may not have any friends because you smell of bad odor.
Wow, that's harsh, Professor. So if the Atkins diet works despite its shortcomings, does that mean carbs are the key to losing weight? Coming up, we expose the secret to eating carbs and losing weight. And we spill the truth on diet pills. Are they miraculous or disastrous? Plus, we'll reveal the last diet you'll ever need to try. Before the break, we looked at calories in their various forms and explored the craziest diets that have ever existed. But we also talked about some diets that were not as crazy. And the one thing they have in common is they're all low-carb diets.
As we've mentioned when we discussed the gluten-free and Atkins diets, carbohydrates have been given a poor reputation for causing weight gain. But our bodies need carbs to create glucose, which fuels us with energy.
Different types of carbs get broken down into glucose and absorbed by the body at different rates. And the measurement of these rates is called the glycemic index. So the secret to choosing the right carbs is based on the glycemic index, or GI.
Low GI foods are those that have a very slow release of carbohydrates into the blood as glucose, and high GI foods are foods that have a rapid increase in blood glucose. Wholemeal wheat, unpolished rice, sweet potato have got low GI. High GI carbohydrates are things like white bread, most white rice, and also some of the pastas that we consume. It's important that we eat low glycemic index carbohydrates because this has shown to be a very important way in which you can manage your body weight more systematically.
Another extreme way of managing one's weight is diet pills. They're touted as the miracles to deflating your waistline. But with it comes a long list of side effects like headaches, nausea, and constipation. In more serious cases, diet pills can even lead to death. So, what's the modus operandi of diet pills?
Diet pills fall into 3 categories. One group that alters your desire to eat, a second group of pills that reduce the absorption of nutrients, and the third type which increase your metabolic rate.
Although most diet pills are prescribed by doctors, they're actually not suitable for everyone. So this is one dieting trend you don't want to get carried away with.
We've analyzed some of the mad diet fads that have been tried and tested, and I'm about to see double. So I think it's high time we revisited the first 7 spots on our craziest diets list.
We've seen people eating only cabbage soup and cotton balls, seeing blue or sleeping through meals, chewing a lot or not chewing at all.
So now we're down to the top 3. Ooh, thank you, thank you, thank you. The breathing diet. Now this diet claims to make you breathtakingly beautiful. Breatharianism is a diet where you survive on nothing but air, as in all you're doing is breathing. No food, no water, just air. The side effect, funnily enough, is that you become no different from a balloon. And we all know what a balloon looks like once it loses its mass, right? This leads to starvation and then ultimately your death. The amputation diet. Oh, this is the diet where you can lose weight by donating blood, a kidney, or even hacking off a limb. That's 11 kilos gone, you know. The problem is, instead of losing weight, you're losing blood, you can get handicapped, and you might even die. Does anyone have a Band-Aid? The tapeworm diet. Now this is sure to stir your guts, quite literally. Now this diet is where you ingest the worm, allowing it to grow inside your stomach, feeding off all the food and nutrients that you eat and eventually bursting out of your chest. Okay, I'm kidding about that last part, but it's still pretty disgusting. And the chances of that worm multiplying in your stomach are very high, and potentially the eggs could flow to your brain, literally eating you from the inside out. Let it grow, let it grow.
You don't really have to go all crazy if you want to lose weight. Why not let the food detectives help you out with a few dieting tips?
If you're on a diet, how about making some small changes but with really big impact? For example, skip the sugary cereal for breakfast. Instead, have some eggs. They're rich in protein and they're gonna fill you up better than carbs will. Secondly, and this is what I used to do, keep a food diary, all right? Write down everything that you're eating, but be honest. Those who tend to keep a food diary are twice as much more likely to lose weight than those who don't. Thirdly, get your rest. Get enough sleep. If you get enough sleep, you'll probably want to eat less. And lastly, this is very important, take your time when you're eating. It takes about 20 minutes for the stomach to signal to the brain that it's had enough, that it's full. So relax, unwind, enjoy your food. We've come to the end, my friends. In exposing the ultimate diet guide, we came, we saw, we conquered the trendiest, craziest diets and myths. So regardless of your age, your size, your gender, you can still lose weight without going the extreme mile. But remember, my food detectives, I think you're all beautiful.